Sue being buffed in Season 4, I'm seeing her a lot more in comp, and because triple support is once again meta, because it always is, because it's very fun, I had just come to the realization about one of my biggest problems with Marvel Rivals, but also, more importantly, I don't like what NetEase has done with Invisible Woman. And my problem isn't going to be what Invisible Woman's gameplay is in isolation. I think the way she plays in gameplay is fine. It's more so in translation. How Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman from Marvel Comics, plays in Marvel Rivals. And I just come to realize that I don't like what they have done. The Invisible Woman, her two main superpowers is the fact that she can turn herself and other things invisible, and two, she can create force fields. Those are her two main abilities, and in Marvel Rivals, that has been implemented terribly. Looking at Sue's kit in Marvel Rivals, she only has two abilities relating to her invisibility in any capacity, and only one ability relating to her force fields. When looking at her invisibility, she has her passive, which over time she becomes invisible, but that passive is pretty useless because oftentimes you're pressing buttons and that means she's doing something. So really the only time you can ever trigger it is by double jumping, which yeah, it's pretty good, but oftentimes, once again, you're not going to stay invisible because you're shooting at stuff. And the other use of her invisibility comes from her ultimate, but even then, the primary use of her ultimate is being a healing circle, not for the fact that your team is invisible. So even then, it's pretty useless. So looking at the invisibility of the Invisible Woman, it is pretty negligible. Not to say that it's useless, the fact that you can turn yourself invisible, double jump, hide away from the enemy, that is useful, but a solid 80% of the time, it's useless. You have the Invisible Woman, and if you take the invisibility away from her kit, she is still 80 to 90% the same. And then when talking about Sue's force field, it's only limited to one ability, that being her shield that can grant healing over time. That's fine, but why is it that her only ability? Sue has more abilities of her being able to do CC than she does using her own powers from comics. Looking at Sue's non-main abilities, she has a gravity ball, which she does not do in the comic, that is CC. She has a force push and a force pull, that is CC and not in the comics. And then her ultimate slows down the opponent, which she never does in the comics. For a character called the Invisible Woman, I am not being the Invisible Woman Sue Storm. And I understand that having things be invisible and having shields can be annoying for the enemy team because nobody likes to fight an invisible opponent, and having shields just mean more things to blockade damage, but there are ways to solve the solution. I would like it if the Invisible Woman actually had a rework, not because of her gameplay reasons alone, because I think gameplay-wise she's fine. She's the only strategist that I do enjoy playing. I would like her to get a rework so that she can be more accurate to Marvel Comics. Instead of Sue's ultimate just being a healing circle that can make anybody inside that circle invisible, why don't you have it be a force field? Like, you know, a cylinder that nothing can get through unless they break the force field. Instead of having a force push or pull, you can have Sue create a giant force field block and shoot at the opponent as if you're doing a Sigma Rock from Overwatch. When it comes to the character of Invisible Woman, I did not mind these changes at first because I was still in the honeymoon phase of this game, but now the honeymoon phase is wearing off after almost a year and I'm noticing the cracks more, and this is one of them. You take one of my favorite characters in Marvel and just not translate her very well. In gameplay, Invisible Woman, she's good. Don't get me wrong, I would say she's an A-tier strategist, but when it comes to her translation as a character, it's just not good at all. And I just wish NetEase did a better job with Invisible Woman.